There are a lot of great shimmies in Smash Ultimate, and a lot of subpar ones as well. So I decided to rank each one of them and put them into a tier list. First off, you may be asking yourself, what is a shimmy? This is a technique that requires you to gently move the analog stick left and right. If you have tap jump off like me, you can hold up on the analog stick while doing this to make the tech easier. Doing this cycles your character's walking turnaround animation, which can have some humorous results. This technique can be used to subtly space as you can move a bit left and right, however it is mainly used as a way to taunt an Elite Smash. This technique was popularized by pro player and streamer Mars. I put a link to his channel and his How to Shimmy video down in the description. Be sure to subscribe if you're not already, and shout out to his viewer Jacob Harden for giving me the idea for this video. Without further ado, let's get into this tier list. First off, we got Mario, who I automatically put in A tier, and high A tier at that. He actually shuffles side to side, and he looks like he's doing a silly little dance, which I really enjoy. So for sure A tier for me. Next up is Donkey Kong, who has a really good shimmy. It's quick and intimidating, and has an excellent tilt factor for online play. So A tier for me, but below Mario. Speaking of fast, we have Link, who is absolutely zooming. And with that insane speed, he is going to twirl his way straight into A tier.
Helicopter, helicopter!
Next up is going to be Samus, which is going to be our first B tier for the tier list. Not a bad shimmy by any means, however they just don't really have anything that I view as special, so into B tier they go. In contrast, we got Dark Samus, who I think is at bottom of A tier. Very good shimmy overall, and has that glide that I think is the something special I was looking for from Samus. Great shimmy. Yoshi is next, and he's looking like he's doing a little cha-cha. Don't quote me on that, I'm not a dancer. But regardless the dance he's doing, he danced his way straight into my heart, so A tier. Next up is Kirby with our first S tier. I mean, look at this. Amazing. Perfect shimmy. S tier. No way you could convince me otherwise. He also does this weird thing where he blinks. We have a couple blinkers. We'll get back to that. To bring you back down from the endorphins that were siphoned into your mind by Kirby, we got Fox McCloud, who I put in a B tier. Not a bad shimmy by any means, but just again, nothing special. Oh, S tier. Perfect. Next up is Luigi, who I would put in mid A tier. Pretty good shimmy overall, kind of like Mario's. Good shuffle. Not much else to say about it. Next up we got Ness, which is our first C tier. I do not like Ness's shimmy. It is not inspiring, kind of awkward, and he does the weird blink thing as well, which is not made up for like it was on Kirby. Falcon shimmy's quick just like you expect, and it's a solid A tier from him as well. Super good shimmy overall. This puts him right above Yoshi and the gang. Next up we got Jigglypuff, which is just another solid shimmy. I swear all the Pokemon just have such great turnaround animations, so this makes it yet another A tier for me. Next up we got Peach, which I'm gonna put in C tier. She just looks like if you put a Barbie doll on a string and started spinning it. Just incredibly stiff and disappointing. Daisy on the other hand has a lot more life to her movement, so we're gonna put her in B tier. There's nothing spectacular about it, but she at least looks like she's having fun. Watching Bowser shimmy kinda makes me think this is how he paces back and forth while he waits for Mario to show up to rescue Peach. Either way, I'm gonna put this in a B tier. Isn't that sound design incredible? Sorry. Anyways, back to the tier list. I think Ice Climbers have a great shimmy. Twice the shimmy, twice the fun. That puts them up in A tier for me, for sure. Sheik's quick and subtle shimmy puts them into A tier, as not only does it look good, but also serves practical purpose in games sometimes. As they have one of the highest ground speeds in the game, they can gain quite a good bit of distance with each pivot. Zelda does these fun karate chops, which I think is amazing. S tier for sure from me. Not as good as Pikachu or Kirby, but still a great shimmy. Dr. Mario's up next with the best of the Mario Brothers shimmies, putting him right in A tier for me. I love how he's grooving, and the fact that his stethoscope is swinging back and forth just makes this a great shimmy. Pichu probably has to be the most disappointing of the Pokemon. There's just not much going on in this animation, so I can't really justify putting it anywhere above B tier. Next you got Falco, who I'm going to be putting in C tier. He's very stiff, pretty much a statue. Overall, I gotta say it's a subpar shimmy. Marth is going to be the first of our Fire Emblem tier, setting the standard for what the Fire Emblem shimmy looks like, since they're all pretty much identical with small variations. For example, here's Lucina, Marth, and Roy right next to each other so you can see how comparable they are. We'll get back to Roy later, but for now, Lucina is going to go into the Fire Emblem tier as well. Young Link has a solid shimmy that I do quite enjoy, though I can't really place why. It's a little stiff, so I'm going to be putting it in A tier. It's not quite S tier for me. Ganondorf's powerful and intimidating shimmy strikes fear into the hearts of his Elite Smash opponents, so he'll go into B tier. Next up, we got Mewtwo, who looks like he's trying to do the walk like an Egyptian dance, so we're going to go ahead and put him in high B tier because of that. And we're finally back to Roy, and after all that build up, we are going to put him immediately into the Fire Emblem tier. Congratulations. Speaking of which, we'll throw Chrom in there while we're here. Good job, buddy. He'll go in high Fire Emblem tier though because his cape gets stuck on his elbow. Game & Watch has one of the best shimmies in the game, just straight up tells his opponents no. Absolutely S tier. Completely tilting and absolutely hysterical. Metaknight likes to twirl around on his tiptoes, and also if you look carefully, he kind of makes a triangle shape. He's gonna go in A tier. Next up is Pit, and I really like the way that his wings flap, so that's gonna put him in high B tier for me. Not much else really stands out for this shimmy though. Speaking of, Dark Pit has pretty much the exact same animation, so we're gonna go ahead and put them next to each other. DSS has a really sassy shimmy, plus the ponytail physics humor me a lot, so we're gonna go ahead and put them in A tier. He's also just another character that has a more practical use for it with their movement speed. Wario is S tier. Between the stomping, the big ass grin, and the shimmy side to side, it is absolutely outstanding. Coming up next, we got Snake, who has a pretty sneaky shimmy, which makes sense for his character. However, besides that, he doesn't have much going on, so B tier. Ike is going to be at the top of the Fire Emblem tier, as his elbow glitches all the way through his cape during his shimmy, which makes him unique. Next up is going to be our only F tier, Pokemon Trainer, as they don't have a spin animation, so they can't shimmy. However, this doesn't mean their Pokemon can't, so let's go ahead and watch as the first of the three go at it. Squirtle lining up the shimmy now. Fantastic. We're going to go ahead and put Squirtle in a B tier. Ivysaur is up next with a cute little shimmy that he does. He's so small. He gets A tier. Finally, we got Charizard doing his Happy Dragon Lizard dance, which I love. He is going to get an A tier as well. I absolutely adore Diddy Kong's shimmy. He swings his arms side to side. He looks like he's enjoying himself. This is a prime example of what S tier shimmies look like. Lucas presents himself with a shimmy that has no grace nor style, so for that he's going to get a C tier. He is also one of those characters that blinks, which is off-putting for me. Sonic's shimmy being probably one of the best animations he has is going to put him into low A tier. Sonic doesn't have much personality in general in this game, and it's kind of reflected onto his shimmy. Dedede is up next, and I gotta say it flat out, he fucking blinks! I honestly don't know why it bothers me so much, but that puts him in B tier for me. Olimar was one that was harder for me to decide, as he has two different shimmies, without Pikmin and with Pikmin. I decided to go with Pikmin and put that into S tier. If he were by himself, I'd probably put him in A tier, but that's rarely the case in-game. Lucario's shimmy is kinda stiff and doesn't have much to the animation. It is pretty fun, so I'll put it in B tier, but it isn't gonna get much higher from me. Bob looks absolutely frantic, like he dropped his phone somewhere and is trying desperately to find it. I really love this animation, so I'm gonna go ahead and put it into S tier. Next up is my favorite character, Toon Link, and I love his little waddle. I think it's an S tier animation. And of course I think he's S tier. I main him after all. I personally like Wolf's Shimmy the best out of all of the Star Fox representatives. I feel like he actually has some dance moves going on, so I'm gonna go ahead and put him into the bottom of A tier. Villager is up next, and we have the first Shimmy that truly strikes fear into me. I mean, look at them. They're shaking their head no, as if to signal that if I don't put them into S tier, I will get killed. Speaking of S tiers, we got Mega Man, who will be joining them up there. I think Mega Man is definitely one of the best animations. Looks like he's trying to walk backwards while wearing skis. Very silly, and that's what we're about. Wii Fit Trainer is gonna be coming in with those consistent hip touch twirls. I think that deserves an A tier in my book. Again, a very silly animation, and we like those a lot. Rosalina and Luma have one of the best and most interesting shimmies in the game. They use the fact that there's two of them to their advantage by spinning in opposite directions. This makes her the only character to have both a clockwise and counterclockwise spin. I'm gonna go ahead and put Lil Mac into high B tier. He does look quick on his feet and he got the tippy taps going, but there's not much else to the animation. I mean, the frog pats the ground. Come on, is this a question? S tier from me. I mean, you can even hear every pat. Palutena is one of the few characters I've noticed that spins clockwise. And in addition, she does that with heels on, which I can attest is pretty hard to do. Overall, I'm gonna go ahead and give her a low A tier. Pac-Man has an animation very similar to Mega Man's with the backwards skiing, so we're gonna go ahead and put them next to each other in low S tier, just below his blue buddy. Robin's up next, and despite holding a book, you know that they're gonna go into the Fire Emblem tier. Woo. Sheik must have felt inspired by the Fire Emblem entourage as he stole their shimmy, so he's gonna go ahead and be put in the Fire Emblem tier as an honorary Fire Emblem character for this tier list. Bowser Jr.'s shimmy makes me happy. He's bouncing and chilling in his little clown cart, which makes me want to give him a high A tier. Duck Hunt Dog has one of the highest potentials to tilt your opponent, as he is actually wiping his ass on the ground. Not only is that disrespectful, but it's also pretty hysterical. So he gets S tier for sure. If this is your first time witnessing the double fisting demigods in all their glory, then I welcome you to the realm of sacred knowledge. These are for sure the true S+ tiers. Cloud is the first of the Smash 4 DLC, and I have to say, he's probably a B tier. Nothing super great about him, and there's a weird click that he makes that actually is kind of irritating to me. Corrin is up next, and despite having her arm up, it doesn't save her from being put into the fire. Bayonetta does this moonwalking spin shuffle that I think lands her in A tier. It's pretty cool overall and looks incredibly hard to do. First of our Smash Ultimate newcomers is going to be Inkling. I like Inkling Shimmy and think it deserves an A tier. I really enjoy the way that they kick their heels out as they twirl. Ridley claws the ground beneath him as if he's looking for buried treasure while he jives. I'm gonna go ahead and put him into low S tier. I really like this animation a lot. Next up we have Simon and Richter, which are true Echo Fighters sharing the exact same shimmy animation. They're gonna go in B tier together. Another not bad but not anything special shimmy. K-Rool's animation is pretty great. He looks like somebody tapped him on the shoulder as they were walking past. He's gonna go in high A tier for me. I don't know how Sakurai did it, but he managed to capture all of the anxiety Isabelle must have being as busy as she is, so I'm gonna go ahead and give this an S tier. Incineroar is poised to ask, where's the competition at? His cockiness gets him into A tier. I love the fiery personality that he has, and his shimmy exemplifies it. Piranha Plants is a weed that says no, so I'm gonna go ahead and throw him into low A tier. I think he's pretty neat, but not anything amazing. Joker has a lot of cool animations, and his shimmy is not one of them. I'm gonna go ahead and throw him into B tier. Hero reminds me a lot of the Link's shimmies. However, I think the Legend of Zelda trio has it a bit better, so I'm gonna go ahead and put Hero right below them in the A tier. Banjo and Kazooie don't really have a super special shimmy. You can't even see Kazooie, so they're gonna go ahead and go into B tier. I am going to note that you can make him do a moonwalk though on this stage. Terry by far has the best shimmy in the game. I mean, he is just straight up double fisting. It's not even suggested like with Ken and Ryu. He is top of the S++ tier, no debate. Byleth is up. Next up, we got Min, who I'm going to go ahead and throw into A tier. I like the way that she does a little celebratory dance. Steve is up next, and it looks like he's trying to start a new TikTok dance. I'm going to go ahead and put him into S tier for sure. Sephiroth unfortunately has a pretty lifeless shimmy. It's pretty slow and it's not impressive. We're gonna put it into C tier. Pyra and Mithra are up next, and I was going to put them both into the Fire Emblem tier. If they didn't copy that animation exactly, I may have ranked them as different characters, but both of them are just doing that. We have Kazuya Mishima up next, and he is the only FGC fighter that actually twirls. And I have to say that hurt him. B tier. Sora is the last of the DLC, and he is going to get a B tier. He just doesn't have anything cool going on. Mii Brawler is gonna go ahead and get A tier. This is a fantastic shimmy. Truly an unexpected outcome from the Miis. Mii Sword Fighter has a quick but lifeless shimmy. I can't put it any higher than B tier. Finally, we have Mii Gunner, who I'm gonna put at the top of B tier. Pretty happy, but nothing spectacular. And that brings us to the end of our tier list. Here is the final tier list as a whole. I did move some characters around after editing, as I had some opinions change. Most notably, I put Jigglypuff up into S tier because I feel like they very much deserved it. If you want this tier list, I'm going to go ahead and post it in the Smash Ultimate subreddit, and I'll leave a link in the description down below. Besides that, if you made it through this whole video, please go ahead and leave a like down below. I put a lot of work into this, and I hope you enjoyed it. Leave a comment letting me know on which characters you think I got absolutely wrong, and I will see you guys in the next one. Ciao.